Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you how to start an InDesign document for your presentation. So right now what you're looking at is the already made InDesign presentation that I showed you in class. So if you go to File, New, Document, the template I used was for web, and I just did the 800 by 600, and that's totally fine. You can use that. Because remember, we're not printing it. So go to Create. And once you have your blank document, you can go to Pages up here on the right. And you can add a bunch of pages. I would just go ahead and add them all in. And then double click on page 1. And you're going to start getting a vision for what you want your presentation to look like. Now, I went on and on about the format of my presentation and the religious iconography behind his head and the color scheme and the black and white. So these are things that I think about quite a bit, and you need to be that thoughtful as well. If you want to see some really good inspiration for presentations on InDesign, you can go to let's see, your libraries. And there should be graphics in there for you guys. I don't know if you connected your iPad account with your desktop account, but if you did, then everything you made in your iPad should appear right here. But you can go to the Adobe website. And they have really good ideas for magazine layouts. This is the one that I looked at yesterday, one that I showed you today in class, but this is kind of getting a vision for what the layout really should be, using font and scale of font in a creative way, making sure your images are all really strong, not stretched out, putting your copy into columns. This kind of magazine spread is what I'm looking for your presentation. So start getting a vision for what you want your overall presentation to be. And again, Adobe is a great resource for that. So once you've gotten your idea, you insert the background. So in this case, I'm going to use a square. And then it works the same as Illustrator, so you can double click here, and I usually for the background will use like very dark subdued colors, and then no stroke on there. You don't want a stroke, so up here say none. Okay, and then you want to put your text box in. Now if you have a text box, you see the circle right here, that means that it wants to type inside this frame. And I don't want that. I want it to type somewhere else and be a separate text box. So I'm just going to make sure that I click outside of the navy square or rectangle. And I don't know, let's do, oh, we talked about someone doing Bruno Mars in class. So I'm going to select all, and then I'm going to think about what font would be appropriate for Bruno Mars. So up here, these are all your fonts. Now I've downloaded a lot of fonts over the last few years, and you guys can too. Usually the font website that I use is called dafont.com, DAFONT.com, and there are some really, really strong and creative fonts on there. Now, I think Bruno Mars, you know, when I think of him, I think of pop. I don't know that this is like fun enough for Bruno Mars. This is a little boring. So I might not see it here. I might have to go grab it from the website, and that's fine. Stay away from like Comic Sans and the really overly used fonts. Nope, that's even more boring. That's pretty good. Okay, so we're going to do this one. And two, you can do two different fonts if you wanted to. So for this guy, I'm going to go and make the Mars like a little bit more urban. And then I'm going to change the spacing on here so that my, there we go. That's what I want right there. So this second word looks like Metallica. So I might go back and change the font in a little bit. But you can see that it's off to a good start. The only thing is that I need to change this color because it doesn't show up against the navy background. So for my color choice for my font, I'm going to go, ooh, white. Yeah, but it has a stroke. That's way better. Okay. So now you can see the contrast there. So that is the designer slash artist that I'm doing, and then when you want to put in a picture, you do this rectangle frame tool. The only difference between this and the rectangular marquee tool, or the shape tool, is that this one with the X through it is supposed to hold a picture. So if you do that and then the key command is Command D, you're going to grab your picture of Bruno Mars or whoever there. So in this case, I do not have a picture of Bruno Mars, so I'm going to go on the World Wide Web and look for a picture of Bruno Mars. Images. And I'm going to use one that I think is good for the cover. I'm going to go with this one. It looks like it's really high quality. Save image as Bruno Mars. And then I'm going to, yes, as you guessed, open it in Photoshop. So when I have made my selection and created the PNG that I showed you in class, then I'm going to go ahead and insert it into my, oh, just grab the background, into my design. Okay. Oh no, it didn't. Okay. So remember the hair, you go select and mask. grab your hair tool, zoom in. It actually looks really good. Photoshop is awesome. It intuitively does a really good job with this stuff. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to Command 0 so I can zoom out, say OK, and then I'm going to duplicate that layer, or you can just save your, like you can export your selection. Export as PNG. Ding ding. And it should be exporting to the desktop. Yeah. Say OK. Then you're fine. Then go back to your InDesign file. Command D. Bruno Mars PNG. And you're going to fit it into this space. Now, the funny thing is with these is that every time you have a picture inserted into this frame, it will give you two bounding boxes. This first one is the actual frame size, and then if you click in the middle in the target, it will let you adjust the size of the actual picture. It's a little weird to get used to it, but you will. I'm going to bring this up, and ooh, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. His face getting cut off there. This is not too bad. Okay. So I'm going to stick with that. Now keep in mind when you save your presentation as a PDF, you're not going to see any of these bounding boxes. Okay. So when you're ready, what you should do, in my experience, is take your Option key, hold it down, and it will make a duplicate page right here, and then all you need to do is kind of go in and change. You can add a quote right here for your second page, and we talked about that. And if you want to find a quote for Bruno Mars, remember, just make sure that your citation is good. We can look for an article on, let's see, Billboard, Board, Biography, People.com. That might be a decent one. You might want to look for interviews. Let's see if we look for interview. Oh, Rolling Stone for sure. That's a great source. So read this. And then try to grab a quote. And then once you're happy with that, put the quote in here and make sure that you have your citation. And then move forward with the presentation. When you're done with everything, go to File, my computer. Export. and it will automatically export as PDF. Say export, and it should, for me, I have it set to like pop up right away, but you can see the bounding boxes are gone. It's just his face, the title. Okay, you don't have to do this exact layout. I'm just giving you an idea of the work that is going to be going into this. All right, let me know if you guys have any questions.